The type of people who really want to ban the sale of energy drinks to kids or want to ban e-cigarette flavours and things like that, they're never ever going to vote for reform in a million years.
And I think she's in massive trouble. I don't think she's just now out of a job. I think there's going to be a police investigation. I think there's a lot of shady business going on.
I think it's time to investigate the entire medical profession.
Hello and welcome back to Last Orders. I'm Tom Slater, editor of Spiked, joined as I am in every single episode by Chris Snowdon from the IEA. How are you doing, Chris?
Wonderful to be here in Birmingham for the Reform Conference, Tom. Yeah,
exactly. You might have noticed that we're not in the usual studio. We're here in Birmingham at the NEC at the Reform Conference, and we're delighted to be joined by a very special guest from Talk, Mike Graham. How are you doing, Mike?
Very well indeed. Well, actually not very well because I was up a bit late last night and I'm still slightly recovering. But yeah,
we appreciate you, braving it for us.
Thank you.
But there's been a lot going on. How have you found the conference so far, Mike?
Yeah, I got up yesterday about because obviously we were a bit busy in the morning with Angela Rayner and all of that. So I got up here about quarter to five or something like that. And I mean, it's a massive place. I think last time I came to the NEC in Birmingham was when I was working for Talk Sport, and we came to a motorcycle show to do a live broadcast from, which was very interesting. But it's sort of cavernous and huge, and I was really just taken by the fact that there's buses parked in it, there's tractors, there's like thousands of people wandering around, and it really feels like something other than what it used to be, which I think was a little bit of a new fringe party that might do a reasonable thing at some point or other in the future. Feels like a movement. It feels like a really proper, organisation now. It feels as though, some people have been joking. Some of it's been a bit chaotic, but it's not like any other political conference you go to. You go to a Tory conference and people are dying literally in their chairs, and then nobody notices for a couple of days. And it's so boring. But this hasn't been boring. It's been, some people have been saying it's a bit too flashy. Yeah. But I kind of like that.
It's very American in its way. But...
yeah, well, they've obviously learned a lot from the Trump sort of side of things, with the music and the smoke and the moving lights and all of that. I think it works. I think, people say to me, they're ready for a different type of politics. And I think it's fascinating.
The big difference, I think, is compared to other conferences, is Tory ones, Labour ones, even the Lib Dem ones, it's mostly politicians and councillors and lobbyists.
Yeah.
And SPADs, and this is
trade unionists in Labour, for example.
This is overwhelmingly just ordinary people.
Yeah,
members, activists, and so it just feels more of a movement.
Yeah, it's definitely more sort of grassrootsy.
Yeah. Definitely,
yeah. Which I think is good,
and you can do that. You got to give people a bit of entertainment, which is what they've been doing.
Yeah.
I mean, they really laid on the entertainment last night. The Jacksons performed. I mean, that was a surprise.
Two of them, you say?
I think that at least two of the surviving members were there.
Somebody did say to me, it was sort of not entirely tongue-in-cheek, but three of them are dead, surely. I mean, how are they going to do that? I'm told, I didn't see it because I'm a bit too old for that sort of thing. But people who saw it said that they were really actually good.
They were quite.
They couldn't sing and dance at the same time. They did a bit of dancing, and then they'd stop dancing and then sing.
Certainly the surviving members must be of an advanced age at this point. So
I would have thought so.
I would have thought
so. But yeah, why not? I mean, the crowd loved it. I think there was a couple of thousand people there. So good luck to them. And then, of course, we had Dame Andrea, singing in the silvery dress, a song that she wrote herself.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that.
No, I mean, I find her sort of charmingly batty, which I think is not meant as an insult because I think she's lovely, and she's not really like any other politician I've ever met. And yeah, you're right. I mean, you wouldn't open with it, as they say.
You wouldn't wear the jumpsuit yourself, but it's,
no. I mean, David Bull, right? That was a joke we made earlier. I just think, as you say, it's got to be entertaining. Trump gets Hulk Hogan up.
Yeah.
So
he did.
Well, he won't. R.I.P. Won't do it now, but
they resurrect giant haystacks or something.
Yeah, exactly. Anything you like, Gordon. What was the Japanese guy? Can't remember his name.
What was the wrestler?
Yeah, the wrestler.
Oh, I don't know.
It's Mikado or something. I can't remember. But
if people know, they should write in and
they should.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments.
It was some part of my Saturday afternoon growing up as a kid watching the wrestling on World of Sport. But yeah, no, I think it's a really good vibe. Everybody seems really into it. I mean, I was watching today and they were passing a couple of motions and actually had people speaking from the floor.
Sort of
voting on
bit,
things and trying to show that they're being a bit more democratic. It's not just a one-man band, I was also at a drinks thing last night with a load of donors, and there's quite a few from overseas, believe it or not, who are Brits who live in places like Monaco and Hong Kong and, you know, Australia, and they're putting money in.
And they're flown over to Birmingham to the NEC. I know, medal of honours.
Be right,
My
yeah.
big complaint, if I've got one, is do you know how much these are? This is Madry, folks.
How much?
The authentic Spanish bit.
Yeah.
£9.20.
What?
Yeah, no.
Christ. That's even more than you pay in London, isn't it?
It's much more than I've ever paid anywhere.
Mind you, that's a bit like any sporting venue. I mean, if you ever go to Wembley,
Yeah.
don't buy anything.
But not £9.20 though. I've been to Wembley for beer, I've been to the bloody Oval for cricket, and it's all extortionate. But extortionate is sort of £7.50,
You don't
maybe £8.
You don't expect to spend £9.20 on a beer in an aircraft
In-
hangar in
in
Birmingham.
Birmingham,
It's
no.
just not really.
No,
It's outrage.
Should we talk a little bit about what else has been going on in politics, Mike? Because
Yeah.
it's been a big weekend for news. Angela Rayner's
It's
departure.
been amazing, hasn't it?
On Saturday. This reshuffle now. I mean, what do you make of
Well, I mean,
this blow up?
I came back on Wednesday morning from the States and had been obviously reading about all the shenanigans around this house. And I think she's in massive trouble. I don't think she's just now out of a job. I think there's going to be a police investigation. I think there's a lot of shady business going on. Well, look at this fact, right? She takes out £165,000 from her son's community fund, the trust that's been created to look after him because he's so disabled, right? Now, I've been talking to people about trusts, and as far as I know, as far as I can tell, you're not meant to take that money and use it for anything other than the benefit of your son. So if he's not going to live in the place in Hove, there's a question about that. Yeah. Second of all, they overinflated the price of the house in order to sell 25% of her ownership of it to the tune of about 150,000 more than every other house in the area sells for. So that's another question.
Who'd she sell it to?
Well, she basically sold it to the son's trust.
Oh, I see.
Still lives in it.
I haven't
Yeah,
really
it's-
dug into the details.
No, this is the other thing. It's why it's on the chair. So she sells 25% of her share in the house, which I think leaves her with still 25%. But she sells it to the trust. So the trust gives her the cash, which she then uses to put down on another flat in Hove.
Oh.
That seems at the very least dodgy to me.
Sounds it, doesn't it, on the face
Right?
of it?
And then she inflates the price of the house, right? And then she calls it her main residence for council tax purposes, but doesn't really live there, only goes there occasionally to see her kid, and it's basically occupied by her ex-husband, right? She then buys the place down in Hove, lives most of the time in Admiralty Arch, although presumably today she's moving out. That must be a sad day for her. Can you imagine? Got to move out of the Grayston favourite flat. I think she bought 2 really expensive beds for him when she moved in for like £7,000 or something. I mean, the woman's just profligate, and I just think she's been on the make for a very long time.
But counterpoint, like working class woman, single mother. I turned on the news yesterday in the hotel room. Honestly, if I hadn't been reading Twitter,
Very striking.
I would have assumed she died.
Yeah.
Every single person
Oh yeah,
was like,
Very
oh, it's a
sad.
tragedy. No
Very
one said,
sad.
well, she's broken the rules and possibly the law.
right.
And she was right to resign. Everyone's like, well, it's terrible the way this is all turned out. Working class.
been chewed
woman.
up and spat
As if
out
she's the
or
only
something, yeah.
working class person who's ever gone into politics.
I know. Well, we were doing the show on a Friday morning breakfast, and I was we're running a sort of resignation watch because I knew because when I had my mid-morning show, everybody used to resign during my show, all for any government job,
You know the pattern. You can see it
Yeah,
repeating.
you can see it. And I predicted that it would probably happen around midday, which was exactly when it happened. But people were writing in with, it's almost as if they're saying being working class is some kind of disability.
Right, yeah.
Like, oh, isn't it amazing? It's like the people that talk about women, isn't it great that we've got a woman chancellor? Why?
Yeah, that was the other thing they're saying on the news.
human.
We've got all the officers of state
Right.
taken by women. Who cares?
I don't
Honestly, does anyone care about this anymore?
Yeah, but are you really telling me that because she's a woman, it's some kind of miracle that she's got to the top?
Also, all the people who have resigned from this government for impropriety have been women as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
it
there's
is,
that failure as well.
Conclusions.
it is a bit of a miracle that someone can, in today's Labour Party, rise to the top and be working class. I mean, Keir Starmer is from a relatively working class background, but at the same
No,
time,
well, he says he is.
from a more kind of,
Not really.
he goes through the university
Working
system,
class
whatever.
Surrey.
Yeah.
That well-known working class enclave.
But do you think this
He
will...
went to a what is now a independently funded aided school. He went to a private music school. I mean, that's not.
What was his instrument again? Was it the flute or something?
I think it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but,
Which again fits in perfectly.
Rather curious.
Yeah,
his dad
absolutely.
was a toolmaker, apparently. I
Well,
didn't
I know
realise
that.
he talked about it.
I had
but,
no
yeah.
idea.
He doesn't mention it much, but in
yeah.
fact, it's also a lie because his dad was running the manager of the factory, so he wasn't. And also, have you seen pictures of his dad?
No.
Looks really weird. He's got his scraggly beard. He looks like somebody that hoards things, Like you go into his house and there'd be newspapers from 20 years ago lining the hallways. That's what he looks. He wears tatty clothes. It looks very odd. And his mother, of course, was ill through most of his childhood.
Still,
So he's had a very weird upbringing.
And at the very least, he I think Morris Glassman said he's a classic example of someone who went to university and became stupid. As far as he might have escaped his background, but he was still ending up with all of the received opinions.
And a lawyer without any of the sort of legal skills that most lawyers have got.
Yeah,
because he can't argue anything. He's not quick on his feet.
No,
people say to me, actually, proper lawyers, say when he was at the CPS, he was really more like a chief sort of civil servant. So he was the administrator of the CPS.
That makes a lot of sense.
He never prosecuted anyone. He didn't actually walk into a court, as most clever barristers can do.
I thought he was smashing gangs all over Europe with Interpol.
I'm glad you added with Interpol at the end there, because otherwise there might have been a bit more libelous than you think.
But do you think it will be a loss for them though, Mike, as far as because of everything we've been talking about? Because
It's a massive loss.
Because and one thing you can say about Angela Rayner is, as far as the public were concerned, she at least had a pulse.
In
a way that
also,
Starmer and
people
Reeves
saw
don't.
her as authentic. Whether you liked her or not. There was something quite sort of.
She likes to vape.
Yeah, she likes
to drink.
Yeah, she likes to drink.
Future last orders guest them.
And obviously she enjoyed ripping people apart, which I have no problem with in politics, and so she will be missed. And I think, but it shows you how some of these people get to the point where they think they're entitled to almost everything, and they don't think anyone should ever question it. The idea that she on Wednesday, I think it was, said I was given the wrong advice. Basically putting the lawyers in the frame. I mean, why the hell would you say something about a law firm if it's not right? Because you think the law firm is going to come back and say, actually, we didn't give any tax advice. We told her to get tax advice. And suddenly that game was up.
Yesterday, Farage was saying in his speech that because of Angela Rayner's departure and also just because of how bad things are going for the Labour Party, that there could be an election as soon as 2027. I mean, do you think this government will not last?
I've been saying since last summer, since about August, because people forget this government just collapsed as soon as they got in. Because on the thing of day 2, we suddenly found out about Lord Ali, and the free glasses.
Almost forgot about.
And because you do, and the weird use of the Lord Ali penthouse, where Starmer pretended it was his own house, and his son's living there, and they get free tickets to Taylor Swift twice. They go backstage and meet Taylor Swift. And then every single Labour MP's getting free tickets for everything, football, the whole thing.
But do you actually care about that?
Yeah,
I don't care at all. I think it's absolutely fine.
No, I'll tell you why I care, because the gift givers then have access to something that you and I don't have. The Lord Ali, for example, had a pass to Downing Street. Now, nobody's ever told us what he was doing there. They've never explained it. And he apparently was involved in picking some candidates for various things before the election, and that means he's buying privilege, he's buying power. And I think that's wrong.
Well, would you then ban all donations to political parties? I mean, this always goes on.
No,
I don't really have a problem with it.
No, I wouldn't ban
the electorate can always
but
vote them out.
No, but I think there should be a system by which, you can give money if you want to, but you don't get anything in return.
And it's more of a problem for Labour because they don't really stand for very much. They have run in recent years on just empty moralism. Like the Tories are just bad people. They're really craven. They're evil. They do this.
Forrest had a cake and all that.
Exactly.
And his room wallpapered.
And he's had a load of girlfriends as well.
Exactly.
Like somehow that's wrong.
And Angela Rayner was really at the front of the pack with all of this. Going off in the Deans of Harley over his tax affairs. She even said at one point that tax avoidance costs lives. A few years ago. So I think that if you live by pearl clutch and you die by it, I guess is.
Well, we found
we do it for hypocrisy, but I'll be honest.
We found some great clips back end of last week from a few years ago, where both she and Starmer said anyone who avoids paying their tax in this country should not be allowed to run any public enterprise of any kind. And if their politicians are doing it, they should be kicked out of office. They actually said those words.
What has happened in Angela Rayner's case? I mean, we're all excited for the new revamped cabinet. David Lammy continues to fail upwards. I mean.
Well,
the literal mastermind.
The fact is, the thing that annoys me about the way some media cover politics is that nobody, because I was driving up in the car on Friday after the show, nobody was saying, this is all smoke and mirrors. The only reason they'd had a Southern cabinet reshuffle was because some bright spark, aged 21 and a half, in Downing Street said, oh, well, it'll be all about Angela Rayner in the morning unless we do something else. So suddenly now the story moves and it's all about David Lammy and it's all about Shabana Mahmood and it's all about a shuffling of the cabinet, Lucy Powell's out and all that. And that's all they were talking about in the afternoon. It was as if Angela Rayner had been forgotten about. You know, and I think that's what they wanted. But I think it's meaningless. You know, it doesn't matter.
He was probably itching for a reshuffle anyway, wasn't
Well, he was going to do one on Monday anyway.
Oh, he was.
Apparently. But this is why I think they just suddenly decided to do it. But it doesn't really make any sense. I mean, David Lammy's basically been demoted. And I think they gave him the sort of, title. I mean, he's foreign secretary. I mean, that's one of the big 3 jobs of state, and now he's justice secretary, which is nothing. So they probably just went, I'll tell you what, we'll give you, the deputy prime minister. It didn't mean anything.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of entirely ceremonial. But
I'm
it's nice.
I'm not looking forward to him doing prime minister's questions and Starmer's off on another one of his jollies.
It'd be quite fun. I mean, like his general outings are usually very amusing. Obviously, everyone remembers the Celebrity Mastermind where he said that red Leicester was a type of blue cheese and that Marie Antoinette won a Nobel Prize for
Henry VII succeeded Henry VIII.
Yeah.
It's if you haven't seen it, and I'm sure everyone has, please
watch it.
Watch it.
Well, the
after
great
you've
thing
watched
about
this,
that Mastermind performance was that the only questions he didn't get wrong were the ones he passed on.
He got one about Spurs as well, quite an easy one about Spurs. He's meant to be a Spurs fan,
Yeah,
but he got that wrong too.
Absolutely nothing.
Well,
God bless it.
politicians and football never mix, do they?
They don't.
You can never be a politician and like football.
I was reminded of David Cameron being confused as to whether or not he supported Villa or West Ham.
Because the colours are the same.
Chris, to turn more towards some of the nanny state issues that we should talk about. We're here at Reform Conference. I know you've done a couple of panels in the sort of fringe events about this issue. What's your measure of reform, where they stand on the issues that we talk about on this podcast, smoking, drinking, the right to have a good time? Because obviously, presentationally and in terms of how he lives his life, Nigel Farage seems like he's very on side. So what's the measure that you've taken of this conference where these issues
he's pretty good, and people like Gwaine are definitely good on it. Not just libertarians, but libertines, I would say, when it comes to lifestyle issues. I don't know about the membership. I mean, my audience in my panel was obviously self-selecting. This seemed fairly sound. I think there's a sense that reform doesn't like the nanny state. Probably won't be doing much more of it. I don't see why they would. I mean, the kind of people that they're trying to appeal to are not interested. I think the Tories and Labour, by doing the nanny state stuff for years and years and years, they've been trying to appeal to a particular type of voter. And in the Tories' case, a voter that was never going to vote Tory. Yeah. And for reform, they can treble that, right? The type of people who really want to ban the sale of energy drinks to kids or want to ban e-cigarette flavours and things like that, they're never, ever going to vote for reform in a million years. So what is the electoral reason to support the nanny state stuff? In addition to the fact that Farage himself, by everything I know about him, just doesn't like this stuff anyway. So I'm fairly optimistic if reform get in that on this issue at least, we'll be okay. But remember, I did say the same thing about Theresa May and Boris Johnson.
That's true. You're famously Panglossian whenever
I am quite optimistic, as everyone knows. Yeah.
But the problem with Boris Johnson was he was so easily led, wasn't it? I mean, he might have in his mind thought that he was a bit of a libertarian. He might have thought he liked the idea of sort of, global, migration being a good thing, and
he got big into the green agenda.
He got big into that. I think.
Well, that's just
Harry,
his missus. Yeah.
The
visa stuff, I think, was genuinely like a deathbed kind of moment.
Yeah,
when he got COVID,
moment.
I'm sure.
And he came out. It was 2 things. One, he supposedly nearly died from COVID, and he blamed it on him being fat.
Yeah.
And Matt Hancock got COVID, and I barely noticed it.
Right.
And he wasn't fat, so he drew a conclusion from this fairly basic data.
Yeah.
And decided that he needs to lose weight, which I noticed he hasn't actually done.
Got on the fat jabs, then got off them again.
Did he get on the fat jab?
Yeah, that was his first column for the Daily Mail.
Oh,
It was all kind of, they've got Boris Johnson. Is he going to make an intervention? Will it trouble the Conservative Party? And it was all about getting the shits from getting on Manjaro. So,
and you do have to keep taking it. And it's very expensive these days, Manjaro, apparently.
Certainly people are on it, though.
Yes, I know.
People, I mean, and you can tell they're on it, right? I've lost a couple of stone because I actually went and got a personal trainer who's actually doing it properly.
You're injecting yourself.
Yeah, because because all the people I know that have done it have said to me, the thing is, it just makes you not enjoy anything. You don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. You don't really want to eat anything. It's like taking the
It's a perfect drug for this age, isn't it?
It is. It really is.
Numb you to the joys of life.
Yeah, and we don't even, and there's a certain look that you get. It's kind of
They'll probably start putting in the water supply soup.
yeah, probably. A slightly wizened, miserable look that they all have, But it's I mean, I'm not going to say.
I'm not going to name names, but
I'm not, but I mean, let's just say in our business, there's an awful lot of people who are quite senior, who are doing it.
yeah, and you can usually tell by how sudden it is. But not necessarily on the nanny state policy specifically, Mike. But do you think part of the appeal, where Farage is concerned, and reform in general, is that the fact that they're just not as uptight, they're not as stuffy, they do enjoy a drink authentically in a way that is usually quite absent
for sure.
politicians,
but also not just that, because it's become a bit Americanized in our political world now, I think, where there's a sort of basket of things, like if you live in America and you believe in the death penalty, you also don't believe in abortion. And you kind of go, right. They used to say, so what? So let them be born and then kill them later when they've committed some crime, And here it's getting the same way, like if you're kind of obsessed with diversity and inclusion, you're probably going to ban vaping. It's a sort of collection of things that you believe
Which don't really make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense, but it's a position that you must have because all of your friends have it.
Yeah.
You have to believe in climate change. You have to absolutely make sure that everybody drives an electric car. All this kind of crap So I think the reforms, the body of the whole, as I see it. I mean, I was watching one of the motions today, and it was about, getting rid of the trans kind of ideology nonsense, right? And one rather brave woman stood up and said, actually, I think trans people should have some rights. And it was kind of like, boo, because, again, they don't want gender neutral toilets, for example. If you vote reform, it's a pretty good chance you don't want gender neutral toilets. You don't want, your daughters are going to a dressing room and find there's a bloke there, in a dress, that kind of thing.
it's not much to ask, really.
It's not really, you wouldn't think so. But the trouble is, Britain has become this really, really nanny type state where they're looking after everybody except anybody normal, And you can't even say the word normal now because what do you mean by normal? It used to be pretty easy to define, but we've got to protect all these people, we've got to stop, and I like we did this panel on lawless Britain, and the idea that police are now intervening in situations because somebody's been caused distress. And it's like, well, that's not a crime. If I've caused you distress, it's not, you can't arrest me for that. But they're kind of dispersing people from outside of hotels because they're causing distress by waving an English flag at some migrants. Bonkers. So I think the reform kind of manifesto for what it is will be sort of old fashioned. And, we use the word common sense a lot, and that's kind of what it is.
Kind of clear shove in the other direction where all these things are concerned.
Which is needed, I think.
But having said that, as we record this now, Asim Malhotra is addressing the main stage.
Yeah. One of your longer term bête noirs, I think it's fair to say.
I am very proud of the fact that
you were onto him early.
I was onto him before anyone else. I wrote a blog post about him in about 2011 or something. Do you know who we're talking about?
I know who he is, but I'm not an expert in
a lot of people say he's a crank and a grifter, allegedly. He was a cardiologist. I don't think he's actually practiced cardiology for a very long time, certainly not for the NHS. And he wrote an article for The Observer years and years ago, which is when I noticed him. It was all about we should get junk food out of hospitals. It's fairly moderate stuff, but like a lot of the facts and figures he was giving were just wrong. And I wrote a piece called Asim Malhotra Does Not Know What He's Talking About. And it turned out that was very
aged like fine wine.
Yeah, I think aged very nicely indeed. Because he then was a founder member of Action on Sugar, the fruitcake action, the anti-sugar pressure group. He then got kicked out of Action on Sugar for being nuts by a guy who himself, I would say, is fairly nuts.
There's always some madness going on, though, isn't there?
But then it got a lot worse during COVID because he then suddenly became very anti-vax. He was very pro-vaccine, then suddenly switched. I think probably for the likes and retweets and that. Went very anti-vax, and then he became, he got in with Trump's lot, Make America Healthy Again. So he's been over
the whole RFK thing.
And that's caused a certain amount of discombobulation with the likes of Channel 4 News. So he did an interview with Channel 4 News last year. Now, Malhotra used to be a bit of a hero for the likes of Channel 4 News when he was at Action on Sugar.
Right.
Because he was exposing the sugar industry, the soft drinks industry, and go to war, let's have a sugar tax. And they all thought he was great. Took everything he said at face value. And then, of course, he's now saying things that they don't like at all.
It's always funny when that happens.
It's very funny. And so there's this sort of cognitive dissonance. They were interviewing him, kind of like, well, all the stuff you've done on carbohydrates and sugar, really good, but what's all this weird stuff you're saying now? Anyway, he's
There's
on
stuff about the Great Reset. Man.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, he really is. He's gone exactly down that path, and he's here now. And I don't know why, because reform under the current leadership, the chairman as well as Farage and Tice, seem to be trying very, very hard to kick the nutters out and to present a very respectable, normal kind of face to the world. And yet they get this guy on who is really quite toxic.
And I haven't seen him.
Positive why?
But I watched David Bull this morning saying he was coming on later.
Yeah.
And there was very much a kind of RFK vibe about it.
Right.
Like, make Britain healthy again kind of thing, So I assume that that's what they're going to be, it's what he's going to be saying. And he's going to be trying to lead them down that same RFK path. But of course, again, in America, where I just was, my sister's got some, very crazy Democratic friends who are completely like deranged when it comes to Trump. And this guy was sitting there telling me, we were sitting outside in the garden drinking, and he was going, the thing about RFK is he's going to ban the COVID vaccine. Which isn't actually true. And people get these ideas in their head, he's going to make it impossible for people to
I think they have cut funding for mRNA vaccines or research.
Well, I don't know if they've cut research, but when I was, I literally went into the town and the local pharmacy was going, get your COVID vaccine here. I think it changes from state to state, but I mean, there's no ban going on.
No.
As it were. But what they're saying is if you want to get one, you can get one. Which is a different position to Biden, who said you better go and get one. And so I'm rather in that camp rather than the one that says you have to go and get a vaccine. But I'm also with you when if this guy is a fruitcake, then perhaps they shouldn't be associated with him. But I don't know enough about it.
And there's also just not much of an audience in the UK for that kind of thing. In America,
well, when
there's
they
always
said his
been this
name,
kind
there
of
was a
much
big cheer.
stronger. And that's interesting. I hadn't noticed that. So, but bit
Because
of an odd
again,
choice, but otherwise,
it's all silos, isn't it? Where you'll get, I would imagine quite a lot of the crowd here would be people that hadn't got the COVID vaccine.
Yes, I would say it's
quite a lot of the crowd would.
because of that package of beliefs.
Yeah.
Again, isn't it?
Yes.
It's like there should be no. What's the connection between being against like illegal immigration and not having a vaccine?
Right.
There isn't any connection, and yet the two seem to go.
But that's where we've kind of got to somehow.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how we got there.
Well, it's only going to get stronger if they Asim Malhotra on a reform conference.
Well, again, I mean, when you watch some of the social media activity by Labour,
Phase 2 was announced this week, of course. Yeah,
I've seen
This is even more fun than phase one.
I've seen a meme where it was phase 1 and it's got Starmer and Angela Rayner kneeling. That picture of him taking the knee. And then phase 2 is just him on his own. And then phase 3 is nobody.
Yeah.
But,
so like the commissar vanishes but as fast. Yeah.
I mean, he's lately been attacking Farage for being unpatriotic because they've got somebody again somewhere in darkest recesses of Downing Street coming up with this rubbish and going, oh, I know, if you call Farage unpatriotic, that will mean obviously we are patriotic. A ludicrous episode of Yvette Cooper saying that her house is literally covered in
That was amazing.
She can barely move.
Incredible video.
and I was like, what? You can imagine.
We got Bunting, we got St. George's.
And I said, imagine Ed Balls coming out for breakfast in a onesie with a Union Jack on it,
And didn't Starmer say he's always looking at
He said he's always sat in front of a Union Jack, and he's got it all in the.
But the great thing about him doing that interview was that he wasn't sitting in front of a Union Jack.
Right, you know that for sure.
Yeah, because
We're going to be on the camera.
we played it. We played the video out. And I said, here's a guy saying, I always sit in front of a Union Jack, not sitting in front of a
It's
Union
an
Jack.
insane thing to say anyway.
Of course it is.
Why would anyone say
The
that?
insincerity of it was amazing because he also said, I am a big supporter of flags. I think they're a great symbol of our nation.
You can tell they're not patriotic and they're not actually nationalistic because they don't understand it. You don't have to have a flag to be patriotic. You don't have to, fly a Union Jack out the back of your car.
Not even a bit of Bunting?
I mean, if you want to, you've got a free country up to now, but you know what I mean? It's not about that.
Like it's kind of overcompensation.
It's not about waving a flag. That doesn't make you.
It's so triad.
Yeah.
And I can't believe they think anyone's going to be impressed by it.
But this is how out of touch they are.
Who's advising these people?
Well, this is the
Exactly.
thing. I mean,
The geniuses
can only be these like 20-something kids, who you see and you go, oh yeah, you meet these people at parties and oh yeah, I'm a special advisor in Downing Street. What?
Yeah.
Finished done your A-levels.
Yeah.
This is true.
Yeah, they're out there.
Speaking of bad doctors.
It's got a long tail, this story, so I want you to talk us through it, Chris. But this is about.
I'll tell you what it hasn't got though. legs.
Lay on us, Chris. The amputee story that just keeps on
giving. I mean, doctors are, let's face it, wrong uns all the time. Barely a day passes.
This is a recurring theme on this podcast, is your extended beef with doctors of all kinds.
With all
really.
doctors.
And on my Twitter feed as well. Medical
Just
doctors.
to be clear, not like
not
PhDs or whatever.
not like real
I
doctors.
call PhD people who call themselves doctor, I call them fake doctors, which really winds them up.
There's
on
Dr.
Twitter.
Snowdon over here as well.
The medical ones are the fake doctors. They haven't got real PhDs. So this is a medical doctor who probably almost certainly hasn't got a PhD, a pervert and a fraudster.
I think that's fair comment now.
Yeah,
From what you're about to hear,
I don't
absolutely.
think there's any problem with that.
It's either arguable. So this guy, he had some sort of weird sexual fetish about being amputated. So he put dry ice on his legs. He himself was a surgeon, but he didn't chop his legs off himself. He put dry ice on his legs, so he had to have them amputated. And he came up with some cock and bull story about how his legs got injured in some way. The BBC then did a story. This is from March 2023. Sepsis, what losing his legs taught surgeon about life.
Only the BBC could
got
take that angle.
It's gotten well. They didn't know he'd done
Yeah,
it
this is
deliberately
before
at
his
the time. At the time,
proclivities
they just
became
thought,
clear, yeah.
This is
Oh, I see.
four blokes lost both of his legs.
Okay.
It's now got an incredible correction. Updated on 5th of September 2025. Since the publication of this article, Neil Hopper, amazing name, Neil Hopper has been jailed for insurance fraud and possessing extreme pornography. His account of how his legs came to be amputated has been proven to be false. So now we've got another story from the BBC, which is how I fell for jailed amputee surgeons. Sepsis lie. When I interviewed surgeon Neil Hopper,
It's like something about brass eyes.
This is incredible.
when I interviewed surgeon Neil Hopper in 2023 for BBC News, I believed I was speaking to a man who had been humbled by the life-changing experience of losing his legs to sepsis. Little did I know, Hopper had a sexual interest in amputation and had frozen his own legs so they would be removed. Hopper, a consultant vascular surgeon who had carried out hundreds of amputation operations, told me he had come down with a mystery illness on a family camping trip, which had led to sepsis and below-knee amputations of both his legs. In reality, he used ice and dry ice to freeze his own legs, causing damage that meant they eventually had to be amputated in hospital. This all came to a head, really, when he defrauded some insurance companies for the best part of £500,000. That for some time, Hopper had been paying to access videos of body mutilation. The court heard he had bought 3 videos from the website for £10 and £35, showing, respectively, men having their genitals removed.
Crikey.
He also exchanged 1,500 messages with Marius Gustafsson, an amputee who ran the website. Now, that's in itself another story.
Yeah.
This guy is in prison for life now. He's known as a eunuch maker.
Wow.
Gustafsson. Yeah,
There is some weird stuff
it really is.
isn't there?
Some of the messages,
I'm starting to think this guy's a bit of a wrong, Chris. This is
a doctor, what do you expect? Some of the messages were Hopper seeking advice from Gustafsson about how he had brought about his own lower leg amputation. In one message, Hopper told Gustafsson, "I've dreamt about this for 20 years." In another message, he wrote, "It's going to be awesome being a double amputee." After his amputations, he sent him another message saying, "It feels so cool, no feet." He went on to make fraudulent claims from 2 insurance firms, lying that the injuries to his legs were the result of sepsis, not self-inflicted. During this time, he messaged a friend to say he should milk this as much as possible. The money, totaling more than £466,000, was quickly spent on luxury items, including home improvements, a camper van, and a hot tub.
How do you drive the camper van?
or get into
How
the hot
did he
tub.
get in and out of the hot tub? I mean, he was
The mind. But
committed
This
to
is
the
such
bit.
a weird situation. And he's in Britain, this guy.
Yeah,
Wow.
in prison now in Britain. And
it's going to be hard to top that story.
I think it's time to investigate the entire medical profession.
You think?
Nearly every day I see a story about some doctor either killing someone deliberately or extorting money or
Having some weird...
they're wrong, aren't they?
Well, people would say that's like saying all illegal migrants are criminals.
No, I'm not saying all doctors are perverts and fraudsters.
But all perverts and fraudsters are doctors.
Yes, yeah. I think that's
I
undeniable.
mean, certainly there's no doubt of the doctors that I know, and they've all told me stories about, you know, how many drugs they take and the drugs that they took at medical school and,
Yeah.
you know, the various cocktails of things that they tried. You know, they're a bit weird.
A lot of murderers are doctors, shipmen, and nurses, of course. Lucy
No,
Levy,
exactly. Yeah, God.
Yeah.
Crippen,
But hang on, Peter Hitchens says she's innocent.
Yeah, I know. We're not doing loose let me corners.
I've watched your exchange.
We're trying to. Peter, the invitation is always open if you want to come back.
He's very cross with
Hand
me.
this out. Why is that?
I
Let's have a mini Let Me corner, which is mainly just you talking about your beef for Peter Hitchens.
I just put out a troll tweet saying that she confessed and saying evidence in a couple of hours. And I could see that Hitchens and Phil Hammond at Private Eye were sweating for a couple of hours. And then I just put the confession note.
Oh, the note,
I did this. So she had actually confessed, but not in the way that they
He
thought
that was improper.
But the point is, she could do it at any time. I wish she would. I really wish she would. But she could do it
It would
any time.
end the argument. That's
I think it was a wake-up call for the lebbyists that actually we're going to look very stupid. And in the case of Hitchens, have nothing to write about.
Yeah, no, exactly.
If she ever does
you have
confess.
to get back on daylight savings. And
But they'll
all
just
sorts
say
of other
that
things,
she
but-
was lying. She's a liar. She's making it up for attention.
Absolutely.
It's always funny, isn't it, when people attribute, qualities to individuals who may have done things, and you go, well, no, but she's not a liar. You go, well, she's in jail for murder. Why wouldn't she tell a lie? It's not really that much of a fucking crossover.
Yeah. She lied for 9 months.
How
in
would you
court,
know?
In my opinion, and indeed the opinion of 2 juries.
But we also live in these times now where you can say anything, because almost anything is possible. I mean, apparently they were joking around at the back. They were sitting in the sort of media room, and somebody just looked up and went, Starmer's just resigned. And everybody just went, oh, fuck. There you go, only joking. But you believe it because,
Anything.
It
anything.
could happen.
Sorry, I didn't mean to swear.
That's fine.
Swearing is absolutely fun. This podcast.
Good.
We're talking about amputees with fetishes. We couldn't say the odd F word or whatever, Mike, we should let you go. But before we do, we always ask our guests one final question because we're a pretty libertarian, anti-ban podcast. We do invite our guests. If you had to have one ban, what would it
It's
be?
easy, this one.
You are a dictator.
Very
It
easy.
only provides us it
Very
can't be
easy.
anything worthy, but I doubt it would be in your case. So
It has to be a tattoo.
Cyclists.
Cyclists.
excellent choice. Tell us more.
Because they are, like you say, wrong uns. All of them. Absolutely every single man jack of them. And I watch them now with sort of increasing ire. If I drive a car, which has been sort of, slowly encroached upon, where I live, I go down a place called Jamaica Road in Bermondsey, and they've got a massive great cycle lane. And there's nobody in it for most of the day. It gets busy kind of for an hour at night and an hour in the morning. And I just look at it, I just hate them. I don't know why. I just hate all of them.
Worst
You
people.
don't know why.
I don't really know.
Oh, we need a reason, really.
Yeah, but it's completely irrational. I hate them. I hate the ones who and then don't use the cycle lane. They use the road, and then I end up trying to kill them by sort of going. I literally go so close to the curb they have to go around the other way, that kind of thing. And they're all arrogant. They just think they're better than everybody else. They think they're going to be. I call them sort of middle-aged men trying to stay off death. Because they think the fitter they are, the less likely they are to die. But actually, drivers cycling around London, pretty high likelihood you're going to get killed.
Especially if Mike's on the road, apparently.
Especially if I'm on the road, or there are any lorries that can't see you. And they're just so supercilious, and they're all a certain type. Yeah.
They all look like graphic
A lot of
designers.
the
even if they're
doctors,
not
I
actually.
imagine.
Probably. And they're all wearing
Yeah.
lycra. You're like, why are you wearing lycra?
Exactly.
I don't really mind the ones who aren't wearing lycra.
Because they're doctors, therefore perverts. Probably.
The only thing worse than a doctor is a doctor in lycra.
A
Yeah.
cycling
On a bike.
doctor wearing lycra.
Mike, I'm amazed it's taken us this long for someone to pick cyclists for the band.
Yeah,
'cause I
true.
feel that's-
Nobody's ever done it.
No one's
Nah,
ever done it
amazing.
before. So thank you for that.
Not at all.
Thank you for your time. Thank you, Chris, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Last Orders. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and click the bell so you never miss another spiked video. If you're listening to this on your podcast app, make sure you subscribe there and give us a glowing 5-star review. And if you'd like to get in touch with your questions or band suggestions, email us at lastorders@spiked-online.com.